Hello everyone, my name is Matthew, and this is Learn the Lingo. Welcome to Lesson 82 of Hebrew Basics, a series where we learn the essentials of Hebrew grammar. Today, we're going to start by learning two new roots that are used in the Hitpael, Samech Kaf Lamed and Sari Resh Pe. Last time, we learned that when the first root letter of a Hitpael verb is Zain, Tsari, Samech, or Shin, that verb will be irregular. Then we saw the verbs lahishtamesh, to use, whose root starts with shin, and lahizdaken, to get old, whose root starts with zain. In all these Hitpael verbs, the first root letter swaps places with the tav of the heat prefix, and with a couple letters, like zain, the tav changes to a different letter, a dalet in the case of zain, lahizdaken. Samech and Sari will have similar things happen. Samech is like Shin. It will swap places with the Tav, but no letter will change. Let's make the Hitpael infinitive of the root Samech Kaf Lamed, which will mean to look or to watch. This verb will not be lahitzakel, with the Tav before the root letter Samech, but lahistakel, with the Tav and the first root letter Samech swapped. Let's use lahistakel to say, I am looking at the rabbit, where the I is a woman. I is ani, and the verb am looking will be the verb lahistakel in the feminine singular form of the present tense. The masculine singular form is mistakel, which has the same form as lahistakel, but with the present tense mem prefix. To make the feminine singular form, we shorten the tsere to a segol and add an et ending. Mistakelet, am looking, in feminine singular form. As the English verb look uses a preposition, at, the Hebrew verb lahistakel uses the preposition ba before its object, the rabbit. The will be a kamatz under ba, and rabbit is arnav. That makes Ani mistakelet ba'arnav. I am looking at the rabbit. Ani mistakelet ba'arnav. Now the root, tsari resh pe. In the PL, this root makes the verb latzaref, which means to add or to connect to something. The Hitpael verb with this root will have a reflexive meaning to add oneself to something, that is, to join. This infinitive will not be lahit tsaref, but the tav in the prefix and the first root letter tsari will swap places. Also, in the case of tsari, the tav will change into a tet, which doesn't affect pronunciation as they both say t. Lahit tsaref, to join. Let's say, do you want to join us? Speaking to a man. Do you want is ata rotze in masculine singular form, and to join is lahitstaref. In Hebrew, this verb will use a preposition that means to. That can either be la or el. I'll use el, and on it put a suffix that means us. This suffix for prepositions like el is enu. Elenu, to us. Ata rotze lahitstaref elenu? Do you want to join us? Ata rotze lahitstaref elenu? Let's end today by talking about four-letter roots. We've seen a couple of these used in the PL. Lavalbel, to confuse, and latalpen, to call on the phone. As the Hitpael is closely related to the PL, it makes sense that it is the only other binyan that regularly uses roots that are made up of four letters. Let's learn a new root, shin, kaf, nun, ein. In the PL, this root makes the verb lashachnea, to convince. The Hitpael can often act as a passive form of the PL, and that will happen with this root, which in a Hitpael infinitive makes the verb to be convinced. This root has three irregularities in the Hitpael. Let's start with the vowels. When we have a four-letter root, the first root letter will have its normal vowel, in the Hitpael a patach, and the third root letter will have the vowels usually used on the second root letter. In the Hitpael, it's sere, though not the usual dagesh. The second root letter of a four-letter root will act like it's added into the middle and just take a schwa. That's the irregularity with four-letter roots. A second irregularity appears with the last root letter ein, which will need a patach, so it ends the word with an a vowel. The last irregularity happens because of the first root letter shin, which in the Hitpael swaps places with the tav in the prefix. All that makes lahishtachnea, to be convinced. Let's use the verb lahishtachnea to say, I am convinced, where the I is a man. I is ani, and am convinced is the masculine singular form of the present tense. In the Hitpael, that has the same form as the infinitive lahishtachnea, but with a mem present tense prefix, mishtachnea. Ani mishtachnea. I am convinced. Ani mishtachnea. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share. And if you want to learn more Hebrew, please consider subscribing to my channel and checking out some of my other videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.